Okay, so I'll just check that on Facebook if everything is working well. Facebook NIDOP. Yep, we are live. So everything is working fine on Facebook. So then we are ready to go. 1 more minute. Okay, so we already have people joining us. So okay, so I think 30 seconds left or something. Okay, so it's 1600, so 1800 rather, so we can start. Good evening, everyone. Thanks very much for joining us here today. So we've been waiting a long time for this webinar, and I'm really glad Mrs. Beata is here today to share our knowledge on, trying to get our residence permit in Poland and, basically staying in Poland legally. Without further ado, I'll be introducing Mrs. Beata Łukaszuk. I think I pronounced that well.
Very okay.
Yeah, thanks. She's an immigration consultant at BL Consultancy. She'll be sharing her knowledge today and also on how to help each and every one of us stay in Poland legally. So without further ado, I'll be passing the floor to Mrs. Beata. Good evening.
Yes, good evening. It's my pleasure. It's been most of my life that I've been helping people to make sure that they follow the law here in Poland, and it's my joy to share some basic information with you today. And also, I've got your questions, so I prepared answers, and we will talk about them as well. So let me start with some really basic information that won't be new to those who are not new in Poland, but they will be new to those maybe who just came or planning to come. So as you know, being legal in Poland, you either need visa or you need a residence card. Most common one is a temporary residence card. Most of the people who are coming here, they're even here for a few years, they will have a temporary one. Those who are here for longer time, they have like other reasons to stay here permanently, they might obtain a permanent residence card. Plus, of course, the final step is the citizenship if somebody is interested. How to obtain the temporary residence card? We'll be calling it TRC. Of course, you need to apply for it. As everything in Poland, you generally need to apply for everything that you want. You need to have a reason to stay in Poland. You need to have a place to stay in Poland, and you need to show that you have money for your stay. What to do? How to apply? You need to book an appointment. In most of the currently during pandemic, many of the voivodeships are still not allowing to book an appointment. Warsaw, from this point of view, is amazing. You can book an appointment within 7 days, sometimes even shorter. But if for some reason you can't, you have to send it via post. So this is the situation in many other voivodeships. Of course, you need to be ready with your documents, including your application. You should come ready. When you are going to the office, it's not the time to fill your application. You should have everything ready. And of course, I'm mentioning this because I've had the situations many times, even last one few days ago. Please come on time. Don't be late. No African time, please. This might put you in trouble. Sometimes it's not a big deal, but sometimes it is. So please do your best to be on time or even before time. In Warsaw, like I said, situation these days is amazing. There are 3 offices where you can submit your application. I mentioned them here. Each one of them is working exactly the same. All of them are equally receiving applications, taking fingerprints, looking at your passport, receiving all documents. It's all exactly the same. So it doesn't matter which one you choose. Just choose the one that is convenient for you concerning the location or the time that you have available. How long it takes? Very often people ask how long it will take. So if you apply by post office because you cannot go for an appointment for some reason, or there is no way to book an appointment, I wrote that it would take 3-4 months as a first step before you get the letter inviting you to come to the office to leave the fingerprints. Although even in the last 2 weeks, I spoke with few officers in different voivodeships, and they even mentioned 7 to 9 months. So this is really extending the time of waiting to a very long one. The time of taking decision, again, it varies. In Warsaw these days, it takes 3 to 4 months. Today, I saw somebody got the decision within less than 3 months even. It happens, but this is not something we can do something about. It just, if you come prepared with all the documents, there is a chance it will be a bit faster. And then, of course, you wait for the message to receive your card, assuming that your decision is positive. If you apply during an appointment, you're just waiting for decision. If you submitted all documents and the card, this should close within 4 months in Warsaw, 4 to maximum 5 months. In other towns, unfortunately, these days it takes very long time, even up to 2 years. I don't want to scare you, but that's the situation. What to do if you got a negative decision? Of course, you can appeal. You have 14 days for that. You need to write a letter, submit missing documents, or submit correct documents if something was wrong. All issues with your application should be mentioned in your decision, and usually they are mentioned in your decision. So just follow what's written there and correct your mistakes. You can as well submit new application. Sometimes this is even much better option. It will work faster. Applications take, like I said, around 4 or 5 months, at least here in Warsaw. Appeals can take up to a year, averagely. So you just have to look at your situation and decide. Of course, you can as well leave Poland. Now we are during the pandemic law, which still gives you some few options of staying a bit longer, depending on your situation when you applied. But this is more individual, so I won't use it as a rule. Can I work in Poland? That's a very common question. The general answer is yes, you can work in Poland, but you need to just check your situation, whether you need a separate work permit for that, or documents that you have allows you to work without extra documents. So for example, if you're a full-time student, you don't need extra documents to be able to work legally, but you need to have your documents, your residence permit as a full-time student. If you graduated from Polish university and you apply for stay and work, you don't need a separate work permit. It's like a unified work permit that gives you right to stay and work, and this is so-called open permission, which means you can work in places of your choice. It does not have to be the place that you used to apply. Sometimes you need a special work permit, like additional documents, and your decision will be connected with the place of work. And this is the situation of part-time students, for example, and a few other people. Here I mentioned the list of people who do not need the special work permit. The list looks long, but most of the time people need it if they just come in like that. The most common situation, of course, is a situation when you are a student, a full-time student. Many full-time students are working. Also, or if you're a graduate and you've got a job, you can as well just apply and you'll get this open permission. or you are a spouse of a Polish citizen, but you need to have a temporary residence permit on the territory of Poland given as a result of marriage. So that's a kind of combination of rules that has to be followed. There are also some situations when you can work based on the permits given because you joined somebody like a member of your family here. In some cases, fiança is also treated as a member of a family, and in that situation, you might be able to work, but it has to be written on your decision and on your card that you have access to the labor market. So this is very important to look at. So if you want to work in Poland, 3 basic things that you have to remember. Make sure you sign contract. Do not work without contract, especially if you want to use the job to apply for residence permit. Do not work without any work, like good contract. You need to have the contract and it has to be in Polish. You need to pay taxes. This is for those who are over 26. Those who are below 26, they do not pay taxes, but it comes automatically the moment you turn 26. And of course, you'll be paying ZUS. ZUS is taken automatically from your salary by the employer, so you don't have to do it yourself. But it will be taken, it will be deducted from your salary, so do not be surprised. Taxes plus ZUS might take around 35 to 40% of your salary, so don't be surprised. That's the law in Poland. I want to mention something that is very important, especially since 1 month, the law has changed on the 1st of June, PESEL number. I know Remy wrote something about it on your Facebook page also. PESEL is a very important number. It's kind of ID number here in Poland, and it's both for each resident and also for temporary residents, means each one of you, if you stay in Poland for over 2 months, you needed to pay taxes. After 1st of June 2021, you are not able to pay taxes if you don't have PESEL. Companies pay taxes based on NIP, but we are talking about those who are not running companies, who are just registered as individuals and want to work legally and pay taxes. Sometimes, like there are 2 options. You can apply for PESEL based on the fact that you have a accommodation and you get so-called zameldowanie. I'm sure many of you heard about that. This will give you PESEL number immediately and will register your stay under particular address. So you need to go with your contract to the office in your area, and then you just register and get your PESEL immediately. But since 1st of June, you can also apply for PESEL number just for the tax purposes. You don't need to register your address. This helps some people. Not everybody is able to register address. Not every house owner will allow you to register the contract and get the zameldowanie on his address. So you can just go and say, I needed to pay taxes. And they will also give it to you, usually within a few days, but maximum they have 2 weeks. So just have to be patient. There is another thing I would like to mention that became extremely helpful in the last 1 year. Since pandemic, many offices were closed. Many things were not possible to do, like in person, and but you had to submit some documents, and it was hard to book an appointment. It was hard to get some confirmations. So trusted profile, in Polish called profil zaufany, is the most useful tool these days that I would really recommend you to get. If you have a bank account in one of the banks that I hear mentioned in the presentation, you can just go to them, confirm your identity. They will take your documents, put all the information in their system, and then you'll be able to log in to trusted profile through your bank account. Or if you don't want to do it this way, you can just register, create your login, password, put basic information. Then if you do that, it will ask you to go and confirm your identity within 14 days to one of the places. Most of the tax offices, ZUS offices, some of the post offices, There will be a list of places where you can go just to confirm your identity. So you go with your passport or you go with your residence card and confirm that this is you. And this will give you opportunity to sign a lot of documents online, to also apply for a lot of documents online. Like when you're applying for residence card based on work, you need to bring your PIT for the last 1 or 2 years. You can do it online if you have trusted profile. You need to bring your tax clearance. You can apply for it online if you have trusted profile. You need to bring the history of your payment for ZUS. You can get it online within few minutes if you have trusted profile, and many other things. These days, many people asking, how do I register for vaccination? You can do it very easily if you have trusted profile. This doesn't cost anything, it's free, and it's really helpful. So I really recommend it. Next thing is questions. Should I go straight into questions and answering the questions that I've got?
Yes, please, because we already have some questions coming in from the comments. So please go ahead.
Okay, great. So I received some of your questions, and I just used the opportunity to just write them here and also write answers. So first question was, can I use NFZ contract for health insurance? I signed a contract with NFZ on the 13th of April, and it is still valid till now. My worry is, do I need to pay for the next 3 months or more before it can be accepted for TRC? Some people say it should be valid till the time I will get the TRC card. How true is this? It's true and not true. Yes, generally NFZ health insurance is okay, but you have to make sure that you attach not only the contract that you sign, but also the proofs of monthly payments. As of the general rule says that your health insurance should be valid for at least 3 more months after the decision date. So when you get a letter telling you when, the first letter telling you when your decision is expected, just look at your situation. What I do when I have clients with NFZ contract, we just submit whatever payments were done on the day of submitting the application. And because for the decision to be ready, it takes 3-4 months, like I said, after 2 months, we send another 2 months of proofs for the payments for another 2 months. Some people pay for even more, but with NFZ, you don't have to. They just need to see that you're serious with paying it. With another private medical insurance, you have to make sure that it is valid for at least 3 more months after the decision date. So if it is going to end the same month when the decision should be ready, or next month, decision will be negative. So don't take that risk, just make sure it is valid. And just to let you know, Medicover, LuxMed, NLMed, such places do not work because they do not cover the hospital care if you need like a surgery, the basic contracts that people get from them. So you need some other one. Another question, I received a negative decision almost 2 years ago, decided to appeal, still waiting for the final decision, but I already graduated, my situation has changed. What should I do right now? Definitely, I advise to apply for new TRC as a graduate, depending on your situation, whether you are looking for a job or have a job. But definitely, first of all, make sure that the appeal process is still open and it's still going on. If it is, close it. Close it on the same day when you apply with a new fresh application. Don't do it before, don't do it after. The most convenient time to do it is exactly the same day. So you send the letter to cancel your previous application on the same day when you go to the office to apply afresh, or you send also by post depending on where you are. How can I bring a minor child over for studies? This is, I concentrated on the fact that it's a minor because with just a family member coming for studies, it might be also another situation. So if it's a minor, the best option is to apply for you being here. You can apply for your child for a temporary residence permit. to join the family. But to be able to do that, you have to be you need to have either permanent residence permit or long-term EU residency, or have a refugee status, or be here in Poland for 2 years on the basis of subsequent temporary residence permit, including immediately before submitting an application for granting a temporary residence permit for a family member on the basis of a permit granted for at least 1 year. So this also kind of depends on your situation, your legal situation. You cannot just come, apply for your card, and immediately apply for the card for your child. This won't work. You need to be legal here for at least 2 years. So this is something to think about when a parent is coming alone to Poland, because who knows, there might not be a chance to bring a child later, so soon. Also, another situation, of course, is to apply for like send an invitation to the person, but this is mostly for tourist purposes. So if we are talking for a purpose of studies and it's a minor, this is the best option. If it's somebody who is already above 18, the person can just apply for their student visa on their own, showing that they have a family member here in Poland who is going to support them because they have a permanent job, stable situation. This should also help. I want to invite somebody to Poland for longer than 3 months. What's the best visa to apply for? Schengen visa will give you a chance to stay in any of the Schengen countries, including Poland, for less than 90 days within the period of 180 days. National visa will be for more than 90 days. So if that was the question, the answer is national visa given by the consular or embassy of Poland, wherever you are. This will also be useful in some of the further questions. So generally national visa, because this will be for more than 90 days, up to 1 year. What would the invitation? I wrote some information about the invitation. As I mentioned before, there is also an option to register invitation, and you send it to the person that you want to invite, and they use it to apply for visa. So invitation is like a confirmation that when a person will come here, they have a place to stay, they will have a suitable, place to stay, they will have money to buy food, to buy whatever they need, they will have money for their return trip. So most of the time you are saying that you are going to provide all of these things. But you have to remember that the invitation, it doesn't give you automatically visa, for sure. An invitation does not entitle to working in Poland. So if somebody comes based on invitation, this is mostly for tourism. So just kind of check your options and check what is good for you. Who can do the invitation? This is very important. Not everybody can do an invitation. Definitely every Polish person can do an invitation. But again, they have to show that they will be able to provide a place to stay, money, all the necessary things for a person to be here. It can be also a foreigner, but a foreigner has to be here for staying legally in Poland for the period of at least 5 years. So after 5 years of staying in Poland, you can invite somebody else and register the invitation for such a person. Of course, if you have a permanent residence or long-term EU residency, you can do that. And also an organization, a company, if they are registered here in Poland, they can also send invitation. This happens with the situation when you are applying for work visa. A company will send letter to the embassy or give you a letter that you can use to apply for visa. This is kind of an invitation. This is a very interesting question. I liked it. I was dumped by my last immigration agent. How do I get a refund, and how do I transfer my case to another agent? Again, this is connected with some other question that I answered and will show you a bit later. So definitely it all depends on your agreement with the person or the agency. You know, it should be all written. What if they don't do the job? What are the consequences? What if you don't follow some steps? What if you do not submit some documents? What is going to happen? So it all depends on your agreement with the agency or the agent or individual, whoever you used. So I don't know if you're able to get the money, you get the refund for the job not done. I have no idea because it all depends what was written, what you agreed on. If you gave the person or the company power of attorney to represent you, make sure you have to cancel it. If you start with somebody else, then the person can just send a letter in your name also to cancel the previous power of attorney. And please remember, and this is also like a general rule, very useful, that non-written agreement is okay, but it's very hard to use if you want to prove anything. It will be very hard. So just make sure everything is written. How can how can a student prove having money for his or her life in Poland? I know this is a big topic. The most common thing, of course, 99% of students do is to show the bank statement with amount of money that is huge, usually, but it's calculated based on this, how many months they want to stay in Poland, for how many months they are applying, what's their situation, how much they are paying for the rent, how much they need to pay for studies. It's all taken into consideration. There are some other options, although this one definitely is the easiest. You can show travels check. I must say I never use that. Nobody ever said I have a traveler's check and I want to use it. You can show, if you have a credit card, you can show the limit. It would have to be like quite significant, definitely. If you have a scholarship, that's easy. Definitely, you just need a letter showing how much you are getting every month. So then you don't have to show that you have some ridiculous amount of money on your account. I've had a situation when somebody just provided a statement, of course, written, they wrote it in their language. It was translated by sworn translator into Polish, saying that they are going to provide the money, how much money, how often. It's good to show in such situation there's some history of, sending those money, for example, for the past few months. This should be okay. It's not that obvious, but it should work. In that situation, it worked. It was fine. Also, another way of course, providing that you have money, it's a proof of employment with information about salary. With the students, it's a bit tricky. If this is not your first card, which means you already had a permission, you already had a card, and you are studying and working, I would say it's fine. It's okay to use it. But if you are applying for your first card as a student and also already have a job based on your visa, somehow employer decided to employ you, I wouldn't use the employment because immigration office might ask question, what is really the purpose of your staying in Poland? Did you come to work or did you come to study? So this can be tricky and risky. Why TRC is needed for legal working in Poland? Well, generally, I want to start from the fact that working illegally, it's very risky. As you know, it's not the best decision if you want to stay peacefully in Poland. If caught, you will be obliged to leave Poland. You might have problems with returning. Your employer will also have some consequences. They might have to pay some huge fines and have issues with employing other foreigners in the future. So just to give you a picture that this is not a small deal, it's a big deal, in fact. TRC is like a full confirmation, clearly stating whether you have rights to work in Poland or not. It will be written on your TRC whether you have access to the labor market, which means you can just change your job the way you want, or you don't have access to the labor market, which means you have to apply each and every time for a separate permission if you want to change your work. Your employer has to keep the copies of documents confirming your legal stay. They can also be controlled. It's not only you, but they will also be controlled. When you applied for work visa, if that's the reason why, if that's the situation how you came to Poland, you had to apply with documents from a particular employer. If you are here in Poland just to work, you are not a graduate, you are not a student, you are not married to a Polish citizen, and all these other things that we mentioned before, which means you have to apply for a work permit kind of separately for a particular job. Then again, it is all connected with the particular place of work, with a particular position even, and a particular employer. So having a TRC, it's necessary in such a situation, because you cannot keep, like if you are in Poland, you came based on visa, you cannot keep working on visa given for one employer. You cannot use it to work in somewhere else. You have to apply once again, and you cannot apply for visa from Poland. You have to go out of Poland to be able to apply for visa. If you are in Poland, it will be a TRC, which is a temporary residence card. So just have it in mind. It's a document, you know, it's almost the same documents that you need for visa, the same documents you need for residence permit here in Poland. Yeah, if you do everything right, it shouldn't be difficult. As a rule, foreigners are entitled to perform work in Poland if they stay legally, have work permit, unless not required, of course, or have temporary residence and work permit. Except they are working in in the professions requiring high qualifications. This is also not so common, but the law includes such things. So just make sure that you are legal, and the best situation is when you have a residence card, temporary residence permit. Foreigner cannot work if staying on the basis of visa issued for tourism. Just remember that. If you want to bring somebody, if you just came as a tourist and you find somebody who is willing to employ you and you apply for TRC, it will be negative. It will 100% be negative if your visa was for tourism. So just have it in mind, this won't work. You cannot just come as a tourist and get a job. If you had a permit for the reason of staying in Poland for a short term, an example is that I don't know, there is a situation in the Polish court and you have to show up. So you can apply for a short-term stay. You get the permission to stay here until the case is finished, but this will be for less than 3 months. So just have it in mind that if you have this type of card for less than 3 months for short-term stay, you won't be able to work based on that. Can a student register a company in Poland? Yes, of course. Oh, there's a lot of information about it. I'm not able to talk about all of them, and there is even more. I would definitely make some mistakes if I wanted to mention all of them, and we would stay here for hours. So I recommend you to go to this www.business.gov.pl, and it will all be in English. You can just read everything about running a company in Poland. If you meet following conditions, I will show you the next slide. You are treated the same as a Polish national who can register business and work exactly the way I can work as a Polish citizen. So go to the website, check all the requirements, check your situation, and then you'll be able to decide. The question was, can a student register a company in Poland? Yes, a student can register a company in Poland. As if you're a citizen of non-EU country and you have a temporary residence permit, again, the TRC, not visa, TRC, in connection with studying, you can register a company. There are different types of company. So just check your situation, check what is the best for you. Everything is on the website, on this business.gov.pl. You can definitely see a lot of options there, and you'll be able to read more. This came today. A Nigerian who studies in Russia on scholarship got a job in Poland. He still has 2 months valid Russian visa. He was told to go and process his work visa from Nigeria, but till date he has not been able to get visa appointment date, and the rate of work visa denial in Polish embassy in Nigeria is very high. Can he travel back to Russia, then come by train from Poland to Russia? This is a bit confusing. He has all his complete work permit and work documents issued by the company, but the visa he has is not a Schengen visa. It only allows him to go to Belarus, Ukraine, and other USSR countries. This person is hooked and confused in Nigeria now. Okay, this is such a complicated situation. I will start from a little smile. USSR collapsed in 1991. Just please do not say that they are USSR countries. There are no USSR countries right now. It's the USSR collapsed in 1991, and Poland was never part of USSR. So just kind of a general information. As a rule, visa application must be submitted to the consulate or embassy of the country where you are going. In this situation, of course, we are talking about Poland. It doesn't matter where the consulate or embassy is located. Just a few days ago, I applied for TRC for a Nigerian who got his Polish visa in Belarus. It doesn't matter. This is where he was staying. He applied there. He wanted to come to Poland. He got it there, and he came to Poland. You don't have to go back to your country to apply if in the country where you are staying there is a Polish consulate or embassy that issues visas. So as a rule, you don't have to go back to your country. Of course, we're in pandemic. There might be a situation when there is no way to apply because embassy is closed, because consulate is not working. There were a lot of situations in the past more than 1 year like that. So you just, keep checking your situation, your current rules in the country where you are staying. In Russia, I know, and I found it also today, that there is still some kind of a ban for foreigners for over a year already, and it is valid until further notice. So you cannot just come like that. Even it was even written somewhere that even if you had permission to be there and you left during pandemic, you might not be able to return. They are very serious. So this is kind of a risky situation. Russian visa, of course, does not allow coming to Poland. There is just no way. We are definitely a separate country. We have nothing in common. We have some history, but we have nothing in common right now. So if you have Russian visa, you won't be able to come to Poland. That's why this part of traveling from Poland to Russia or from Russia to Poland by train was a bit confusing. You need Polish visa or a Schengen visa, definitely. But you have to remember that especially during the current situation, still with rules changing sometimes, within few days, having a visa, especially Schengen visa, does not guarantee that you'll be able to enter Poland. Final decision will be made at the border. You might arrive in Poland and you might not be let in because the border guards will decide you don't have a good reason to come here and you shouldn't be here. So just make sure you have all documents and proving that you have a reason to be here. The situation with Nigerian embassy, I know it's not easy for a very long time. I've heard, I think, first complaints about Nigerian embassy around 10 years ago. So this is not a new thing. A lot of people were trying to do something about it. It helps for a little while, then it doesn't. It's a complicated situation. I don't have a simple answer for that, unfortunately. You can keep trying, or if you are still somewhere abroad, or you are able to go back to the country where you also have visa, just see maybe it will be easier to apply over there. Applying in Russia, I have no idea how it also works. I don't deal with applying for visas. I concentrate on legalizing your stay while you're already here in Poland. So I definitely don't have all the answers for the situation, but it's not that easy for sure. So I hope you'll be able to find a good solution. As a helpline here in Poland, I really recommend calling this phone number. I called them many times personally, especially when there was some, situations when we were not sure if somebody will be able to leave or come back. What's the situation? They are very helpful. This Polish border guards line. It talks about COVID, SARS, coronavirus helpline. It doesn't matter. Don't look at it. This is for all these crazy times right now. It works quite well. They do speak English. They should be able to help. If they are not picking the phone immediately, keep calling. They will definitely, and you'll be able to ask questions. I never had a situation when they did not answer my questions. They were very helpful. So I recommend using them if you're not sure if you will be able to return or what's your situation at the border. How to avoid being cheated. I love this topic. There is so many options and varieties of not clear situations that I've heard about, I have seen that, yeah. Generally, I would say never sign any documents that you don't understand. You don't have to sign document in Polish if you don't know what's written there. Please remember that. I know if you go and sign a house contract, they will give it to you in Polish, and it is good. You need to have it in Polish. In Poland, to be able to apply later for residence card, you need to have it in Polish, but make sure you understand what's written there. If they are not willing to give you the documents both in Polish and English, make sure you ask a Polish friend to translate it to you, but somebody who does know English well enough to be able to tell you exactly what's written there. If not, go to a professional. This signing a contract in Polish, not knowing what's written there, can cause a lot of trouble. I have seen like house contracts, rental contracts, where the owner of the house had all the rights and the person renting the place had zero rights. This is not right. This is not legal. Just make sure that whatever you are signing, you understand what you are signing. Sometimes the document can be long, so ask for 1 or 2 days to go through it. You don't have to sign immediately. Just, your signature can be very costly. So be aware of that. Never send money to anybody based on the verbal agreement only, for sure. If you did, ask for a proof, ask for invoice, ask for some document, ask for some statement. Write in the description for what you paid. Like, just make sure that you kind of protect yourself, because if you do not protect yourself, nobody will. That's the simple truth. Do not rent a place you didn't see. I've heard situations when somebody came from abroad, they only saw pictures. They came, I even remember one phone call from a friend of a person being in this situation. She came from, I think even from Nigeria, if I remember well. She found this nice place. She liked it. She had a written, conversation. She was chatting with the owner, and everything was looking fine. They agreed on the price. They agreed when she's coming. She came. She arrived straight to the place. The owner didn't come on time. He came like 2 hours later. She doesn't know anybody. She's just standing there. It's raining. He's coming 2 hours later, and he's telling her that this flat is not available, and he never said he's going to give her this flat, and there is another flat, but she needs to pay 300 more, and she doesn't have this money. And of course, he starts threatening her that, and that's the last point I mentioned here, that he's going to spoil her passport. He's going to put her passport or her name on the blacklist. If she's not going to agree with these conditions, if she's not going to pay him more money, it doesn't matter that she already paid him for this flat, he doesn't have this flat. She was so scared that she did pay him more, and she did sign immediately some document again in Polish that she had no idea what was written in. This is the most, dumb situation that can happen, but I understand if somebody is coming, not understanding, knowing the place, not having friends yet here, This can be very scary, but this is not true. No person can just like that spoil your passport or put your name on the blacklist. It's not so easy. Really, it's not so easy. Do not let yourself to be threatened. Most of the time, when somebody is saying such things, they are already breaking the law themselves. Most of the time, and they are only trying to scare you. So be aware that you also have your rights, and just make sure that you don't buy or sign anything that you didn't see and you don't understand, and things like that. So yeah, so I think that's all for now. I guess we have some questions. Yes, do we have some questions?
Yes, we do have some questions. So actually, some of the questions have been has been answered already. But I think we'll go for this question first. Is it advisable for someone living outside Warsaw to come to Warsaw to apply for their TRC, since it's easier in Warsaw to get one?
It all depends on where do you have your residency. If you have a contract saying that you have a place to stay within Mazowieckie Voivodeship, you come to Warsaw. If your contract, your address is in another voivodeship, that's where you have to go. So it depends where you are staying. If it's anywhere in Mazowieckie, please come to Warsaw. It will be easy.
I think this question, the second question, has also been answered from me, from Mr. Balaji. It states that if someone has a negative response for the TRC, is it better to appeal or to start afresh, since the appeal might take up to a year, as you've said earlier?
Yes, appeal takes time. A year, it's kind of an average time. I have seen it after 5-6 months, and there was a result. I have also seen after 2 years that the decision was given. So 1 year, it's kind of an average time, and you have to keep reminding them. New application, if we're talking about Warsaw, it will be definitely much faster. If we're talking about another voivodeship, another main town, it might be as long as appeal. So it depends on your situation, depends on what works for you.
Okay, so the next question is about actually inviting someone to Poland if the person is a student and has, and the person is a minor. But the issue with that is how can the person show how much money does the person need actually to invite someone into Poland?
Well, there is a law that says that depending on your situation, if you need to have, I think it was 535 or 25 zloty per person per month. So you are multiplying it by the number of people in your family, plus the person coming, plus the cost of accommodation, plus, because this 500 something, it's like a basic food and things that you need to survive. So, and plus the cost of the return trip. So depending from where the person is coming, you kind of calculate this. There is no one answer for how much money it has to be. It's all individual. So I'm not able to say this is the amount.
Thank you very much. So we'll take two more questions. So one is from is a follow-up from Mr. Bolaji, saying that if he has already started the appeal and now that he knows it's going to take a long time for the reply, so he should cancel the appeal and start afresh. Yeah, I think that's the best way. But I would like you as the expert to confirm.
Yes, I do it all the time, especially if your situation has changed. Your appeal is in process, which gives you, which makes you legal, and you have to apply while you are legal. So what I do, I send the cancellation of the appeal, and a few minutes later I go for an appointment, or generally on the same day I go for an appointment with new application. And in some controversial cases, I also submitted copy of the cancellation letter with the new case, so that they are sure that that case, I don't want to look at it anymore, and they should not look at it anymore. I want to start afresh. I want to start with a new case. So it's not a problem. The only rule to be able to apply is that you have to be legal. That's why I do not recommend canceling your case before. Although your case is cancelled only when the immigration office gives official decision about it, but I was explaining to somebody yesterday that the interpretation of the law is changing much more often than the law itself. So there might be a different interpretation, you know, when your decision will come and they will say that, no, it counts when you send it. The whole process, the whole administrative process starts from the day when you send the cancellation letter. So that's why I do it on the same day, but there's no problem doing it. I do it all the time. It works. It's fine.
Okay, so we'll take one last question. A lady, Mrs. Balogun Olawumi Elizabeth, asked if can I use my NFZ contract for health insurance, that she signed the contract with NFZ on the 13th of April and it's still valid till date. Now our worries is that does she need to pay for next 3 months before it can be accepted for TRC?
I think I answered this question. That's exactly the question that I've got in the last
Okay.
days. And I did answer the question, yes, an NSAP contract is okay. But remember that you have to submit not only the contract, but also the proofs of payments. Because signing the contract doesn't mean that you'll be paying for it and you pay for it monthly. Generally, your health insurance should be valid for at least 3 more months after the decision date. With NFZ, I don't advise, like I don't tell people to pay for 3 more months like after the decision date. So usually it will be like 7, 8 more months, you know, going ahead. What do we do? We submit proofs of payment with the contract with during the appointment, and then within 2 months we submit another 2 months payments just to show that you keep paying for it. You don't have to pay for, you know, 1 year ahead with NFZ or 6 months ahead. You just have to show that you keep paying and you are serious about it, and it's not like you just signed a contract and you stopped paying for it because you felt it's enough to sign the contract for TRC. So that's, but generally, yes, an NFZ contract is okay. I can't hear you. I don't know.
Yeah, I had an issue with my connection for a while.
Yeah.
So the last question, because I'm sorry, because I knew I already said the last question. It's about hold on, let me just find the question again. From Mr. Idris Dexter. Yeah, the question is it advisable to use a work document for your TRC application, which I think you've answered. That was why I skipped the question in the first place. When you have a student, visa.
Yes, I did answer this, saying that if this is your first application based on studies, I would not use the documents from work that you are doing additionally to your studies, because it will be confusing to the immigration office. What's the main purpose of your stay in Poland? They might doubt that the main purpose of you being here in Poland is studies. They might think that you are just trying to use studies to make it easier to be able to work. So if this is your second application based on studies and you already had a card based on studies, which gives you right to work, then yes, I would use the documents from your employer just saying that you also have a contract as a student legally working here in Poland, and this is the amount of money you are earning. So it all depends on which card it is.
Okay, thank you a lot, Mrs. Beata. This has really been very enlightening. From history to immigration to accounting to opening a company and everything. Even for me, that I've been here for 12 years, I've learned some things. And even though I don't need to apply for TRC and everything,
Yeah.
but I still need, even some of the information I'm hearing them for the first time. So I really appreciate that. I would like you, if you may, leave your contact details if anyone listening to us and watching us would like to contact you for consultancy. And yeah, please go ahead.
Yes. I see there are some other questions, like two other questions, and especially the second one is short, and I see that this is something we did not mention. I'm okay with explaining that. The
Please go
question is
ahead.
the question is about changing the apartment while the application is going on. Yes, you have rights to change your apartment while the procedure is going on. The only thing is that you have to immediately inform immigration office, because if they send you something via post to your address, they will send it to the address that they have. So if you are no longer there and you do not collect the letter, that's your fault. It will be treated as collected. So this will be your problem. They won't care whether you live there or not. You have to inform them immediately. The same if your phone number changed. You have to inform them immediately, because they are using the information that they have. So yes, if you have to change. Make sure you inform them. And also, of course, your contract most likely was used to to also say how much you are paying for your rent and bills and things like that monthly. So submit new contract. Make sure you submit new contract as well, so that they can see how much you are paying right now. There is something else.
I think a question from Mr. Lamitsu Pizzi. Maybe I think that's. Can you see the question? I think I'll just.
The long one, yes. I'm
Yes,
trying to
the last one. Okay, okay. Please
I'm
go ahead.
trying to understand the question. Okay, so I understand somebody submitted documents and the immigration office asked him to bring additionally documents confirming that he's not indebted to the school. But school is not responding, something like that. That's how I understand the question. I hope I'm right. So yeah.
Yeah, I think more or less yes, because it was really hard to get
Yes,
what the
yes.
person is trying to say.
So yeah, well, if school is not responding, it's a problem, definitely. Unfortunately, from the immigration point of view, it is your problem, because you have to submit documents that will prove that you paid for your school. So usually universities these days, they already know they have to write this information, and they do include it on the document confirming that you are a student. That they include the information how much you already paid, how much you should pay, when you should pay. It's there. If they didn't, it's your responsibility to make sure that they give you a separate document saying all of this. If they are not responding, I don't know, you just have to fight them. There's no other way. You cannot skip it. If you won't submit something like that, decision most likely will be negative, because they won't be able to say if you have enough money. So that's the challenge.
I think there's a question. I think it's from someone from our executive. It's as a student, can we use our dormitory address for the TRC?
Yes, of course. This is your address. If that's where you are staying, this is your address. You just bring a confirmation from the administration of the dormitory that this is where you live and this is how much you pay. That's all.
Okay, one more question. I think I was in this situation earlier when I just came to Poland. Mr. Franklin just asked the question. If someone is married to a Polish national from Warsaw and both couples do not want to live in Warsaw, can they process their document in Warsaw or where they live currently? I think that has to do with Zameldowanie or something, right?
Yes, it has to, it's connected with the place where you officially on the paper live. If on the paper you have an apartment in Warsaw or somewhere in Mazowieckie, you can apply in Warsaw. Just remember that police might come to the flat or to the house and check if you are truly there. If you are not there, they might knock to the neighbor's door and ask, "Is this, did you see any foreigner around?" They do these things. Probably a little bit less now than before. Like the history is saying, it was a bit crazy. They were knocking to every door and checking every foreigner. Now I can see that they are checking a bit less, but they do check. So if this is just on paper, be aware that this might be controlled. If you don't want to live in Poland, like in Warsaw, or you don't live in Warsaw, the question is where you live. If you live in Mazowieckie, that's okay. Still Warsaw, it's fine for you. If you live in another voivodeship and have documents saying that that's where you live, you have your zameldowanie maybe there, that's where you have to apply. So it's all connected with the accommodation address and the address where you actually stay.
Yeah, I totally agree with the police coming because even my neighbors then they thought I had some issues with the police, so they were trying to save me from them. So they told them they don't know any guy from Africa or a black guy, which made cause more trouble, and it should. So yeah, that's actually a very good point. And yeah, so it's even better to inform your neighbors you're applying that a police might come, because I actually found that later that a policeman came looking for you. Okay, don't worry, I covered you. I told them I don't know you. There is no black man living here and everything. So yeah. So I think it's also advisable to warn the neighbors so they don't scare the police off. Let's see if we have more questions. I think
somebody asked, can we change address by calling them? No.
Yeah, that's a rhetorical question, so that was why I didn't mention it. Yeah.
So,
Mrs. Beata, once again, I really appreciate your time. I think every one of us here, I can see some of the comments, even people texting me privately about your knowledge. I really appreciate it. It's been even enlightening for me. I used to think I'm above all that, the TRC and everything, but I learned one or two things today, so I'm really grateful for that. And we can all see Mrs. Beata's contact on our screens now, and please save them. And if you have further questions and everything, please do not hesitate to contact her.
I love to communicate through WhatsApp because then there's a chance that I will not forget what we were talking about. I can scroll through our conversation and see what we were discussing. So if you have WhatsApp, feel free to write me. I will reply you as soon as I can. You can also send me email, although I must say that 95% of time it's WhatsApp. It's quite a useful tool. You can send me photos of documents. I can read them from there. So that's like my favorite tool to work with. So yeah, feel free to write me.
Thank you, Mrs. Beata. And for sure, I'll be using your details as well, because I have staffs who are foreigners as well. So, and some of them have issues with their TRC. So I'll also be in touch. Thank you very much, and have a splendid evening and weekend. Tomorrow is still a weekend, thankfully. And we'll be in touch. Thank you very much. And so everyone, thank you for your time, and please look forward for our next event soon. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.